So lately I've been thinking about something that doesn't get talked about very often. It's not a breakdown. It's not burnout. It's that moment where you look around at your life, the one that you've built, and think, huh, like you've expected to feel more connected to it than you do. And what makes it confusing is that nothing is technically wrong. The relationship might be steady, the career might be stable, the kids might be grown. You did what you were supposed to do. You built something solid. And yet there's this subtle question underneath it all. Is this still me? I'm Suzanne Arjona, and this is Life on Your Terms, where human design meets bold truth and permission to be real. You've played the role, you did what was expected, and now it's time to show up as you. Okay. So let's talk about this, because I've been through this myself. There's something about this midlife stage that strips away all urgency. For years, my life had momentum built into it. Raising kids, building a business, managing everything, being needed constantly. And then that intensity shifts. It's like everything went quiet, like suddenly no one needs you anymore. And I remember having this moment, and I just thought, if no one needed anything from me right now, who would I be? Now that question stopped me because I didn't know the answer. Not because I didn't know who I was, but because I just realized how much of my identity had been expressed through all of those other roles I played. I was now in this limbo of not being depended on as mom or wife or team leader. So in human design, the G center is about identity, love, and direction. Okay, if your G center is undefined, you likely became very skilled at shaping yourself to the people and the environments around you. Now that's not being fake, it's adaptive. It's how you're wired. You read the room and you adjusted. Okay, you became who was needed at the moment. And that works beautifully for a long time until the room changes. And midlife often brings that shift. The kids don't need you in the same way anymore. Your career stabilizes, maybe it even plateaus. The years of crisis mode calm down. And suddenly you're left with space. And in that space is the question, who am I when I'm not constantly adjusting? So for someone with an undefined G center, this isn't about locking in a fixed identity. It's about environment. Where do I feel natural? Who do I feel relaxed around? What spaces let me breathe? That's alignment. Now, for someone like me with a defined G center, it's different. I don't usually question who I am at my core. There's a consistent thread there. What I've questioned is where I overrode that. And I can look back now and see clearly where something in me was nudging in one direction. For me, that was travel. I've always loved to travel. In my early 20s, I was a nomad, literally for about 3 years. That movement, the change of scenery, the freedom, that lit me up. But after my kids were grown and life started to settle down, my partner at the time didn't like flying. And without even making a big decision about it, I adjusted. I chose the practical path, the version that kept everything steady. No big trips, rarely anything that required a flight unless it was to see family. And while that wasn't really wrong, it worked and life stayed stable. It wasn't me. And over time, I started to get antsy. Just a subtle sense of something in me wasn't being expressed anymore. And midlife has that way of bringing these feelings into focus. Does the life I built still reflect who I am at my core? Now, eventually I realized I didn't have to wait for him. If I wanted to travel, I could simply travel alone. So I did. I didn't force him to go against himself. I stopped going against myself. That shift wasn't dramatic, but it was honest. It was getting back to a part of me that I had overridden for so many years. And that's what it can feel like with a defined G center. It's less about not knowing who you are and more about noticing where you've drifted slightly away from yourself. Okay, not dramatically misaligned, just slightly off. So here's what I've noticed, especially as you start to reach midlife. It's harder to ignore that shift. You begin to really notice when you're overriding your true self. You have less energy for maintaining these roles that don't feel true anymore. It might feel a little dramatic, but mostly it's clarifying. Okay, life direction isn't a one-time decision. It evolves, especially if you're a manifesting generator like me. And this stage of life is simply where you start to get that internal push to be honest about that. So whether your G center is defined or undefined, midlife isn't a crisis. It's awareness. It's an opening. It's the moment you realize that the version of me that built this life did exactly what she needed to do. And I'm grateful to her, but I may not be her anymore. And it's time for a change. Now, if you're in that quiet in-between, not in crisis, not blowing anything up, just noticing that something feels different. That noticing is actually where it starts. You don't have to answer the whole question at once. You just have to start paying attention to what feels like you in this season and what was just you adapting. And that's enough for now. So if you want to understand how that actually works in your specific design, your G center, your authority, the places you've been quietly overriding yourself, that's the type of thing we look at in a live reading. Not in a theoretical way, but in a this is your chart, this is your life way. The link is in the show notes, and it'll be there when the timing feels right.